Hi everyone, welcome back to FineThings. I'm your host Angie Yazelitis, and today we're on the road at Fox Chapel Ironworks. So I'm super excited to give you a tour of this place, introduce you to Dave Beach, and let you see his artistry in action. Let's get started. So I'm joined here with Dave Beach, owner of Fox Chapel Ironworks and artist. We're really excited about being here. It's going to be a fun show because this is a hot topic. I mean, everybody's into Forged in Fire. Everybody's like looking for you these days. That's kind of cool.
Thank you.
So I'm going to share just a little bit about what I know about you, but then we want to hear it from you.
Sure.
So, you know, you've been working in this kind of industry in either machine fabrication, correct, metalwork, engineering.
Yes.
Yes?
Yep.
For like 45 years? No, not that long. That would make you very old.
I was babysat in the shop since age 1, so it was pretty early.
How many years do you think?
Metalwork in general, 45 years, yeah.
45 years.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive. So your story's kind of cool because you've done the whole corporate thing, you've done all different aspects of that, but then you realized you really are an artist.
Yeah, my father was a self-taught machinist, mechanic, welder, and amazing man, and could see things that other people couldn't figure out with repairs. But anyway, his shop was an environment of just walk in and figure things out. And I was literally babysat since age 1 in that shop. So I was smelling it,
cool.
Hearing it, touching it before I even understood what it was. But anyway, a metal background that just was very impressive. And I went to college to not have to work as hard as my dad did, and got my bachelor's and my MBA, and went off into the corporate world, but always working in his shop, you know, on the side, evenings, weekends. But creative outlets started happening probably not long after college, whenever I was in his shops, exploring ways to manipulate metal and do things. He didn't do art. He was very practical, functional, let's fix things type stuff. And I just explored other avenues. But anyway, it took traction. His family members wanted Longaberger basket pieces. If you remember that catalog, it was always this big hit. Longaberger baskets were huge in the 90s, and they had this catalog with metalwork, pyrac holders, basket holders, all this stuff. And I started getting these requests for making this stuff because they were seeing what I was playing around with. Anyway, started getting into making stuff like that. Next thing you knew, it turned into whimsical things, and I got started getting paid for jobs with it. But again,
like around the baskets, like hold the baskets,
the basket with little scrolls, and the Wedgwood blue ducks behind, and the wallpaper and all that stuff.
Crazy because I remember this.
I hated it all. But anyway, I'd make the ironwork, then it became mixed with wood, doing shelving and mixing different designs, scrolls in it, twisting the steel, inserting ball bearings, spear tips. It just kept going and going, and I started to be able to get a name for myself.
Yeah.
But I dropped out of the corporate world after 13 years. I was actually in IT for 13 years, and
interesting.
Got into my dad's machine shop full-time for 3 years. And at that time, he had developed cancer, passed away, and I was literally just running his shop, machining and welding, but also doing the artwork. And Signature Door in Altoona had been exploring a different avenue to try and find iron door grills for their beautiful, elaborate, handcrafted doors. And we came up with a design of plasma cutting out the steel instead of doing 80, 90 different welds in a grill. It was much more strong, but also less prone to puttying and weld imperfections and everything. But then I made a framing system for them, and it was a really good product. 08 hit, and it was a tough market.
Yeah.
It hit everybody. So I landed back in the corporate world and what I was hired for at that time instead of computers was what my father taught me. It had nothing to do with the degrees. It was my background in metal and engineering, and the 3 companies that I worked for over the next 7 years were all because of what my father taught me. And it was engineering. It was teaching welders how to spread welds across structure for structures that were failing for the company, the first company I was with, structures that were falling down out in the field. And it was a matter of spreading weld sequences and retensioning some of the steel that they had bent for the structures. And it really comes to light what you learned. Yeah, just amazing insight. My dad just taught me how to think is probably the biggest gift he gave me. It wasn't so much even the metal or the equipment and self-taught and all that stuff. It's just the way he processed how to look at a piece of equipment and understand it and fix it correctly. And it just flows into everything that I do. I analyze it and see it for logic. And I consider it a very simple, easy thing to do. And I see so many people, whether it's engineers, and I'm not knocking engineers, I am one in the background, but people that overcomplicate things and can't break it down to really simple components. Much like welding, I'm doing welding classes right now, and understanding the welding sequences and why you do things you do with a 6,000 degree, molten pool of metal, it really comes back to it's liquid, gravity's going to pull it. Yeah. But it's the last thing people think of. They think it's very technical, very exotic, very, very complex, and it's really, you're just chasing gravity.
We're also going to have a link about those classes.
We're aiming for like 2 to 3 classes a month because they're 2 nights each. So, for me, that would be like 6 nights a month that we're teaching. But it depends on also, too, the pace of the students. I just throw an additional class in if I see that they're needing more, wanting to explore more. So it's kind of flexible that way.
Okay, awesome. So you'll be able to get in touch. We'll have that information shared below. But I also want to share, because I think some people see I've had so many people in town already say to me, oh, I see that on 6th Avenue and I have never stopped. And I think people think, that's not for me, or they don't realize. So I want to talk a little bit about who your clients are. So I know your clients are, contractors, architects, designers, but also the public at large who wants something creative in their home. Can you share a little bit about, the art side of it? And, people need to be able to stop in here. I want them to stop in.
Sure. The art side of it, the whimsical things, sometimes it's something in your head that you just have to get out as an artist. And then other times you blend it with functions. For instance, wine racks, I came up with grape clusters literally out of ball bearings out of heavy equipment trucks, the transmissions and the rear ends. I cut them apart to get the different size metal spheres out of them. And I started making grape clusters with an organic, curve to them. And then doing red hot vining with torches and steel to make the grapevine and the knuckles in them and all the imperfections of nature. But I blend it with holding 20 bottles, with holding 5 bottles, with doing a wall system that integrates all the bottles. So, you get function with art is where I go. Some of my railings, I typically don't do just generic railings. I can do them, but usually somebody's hiring me to get an artistic impression within the railing, or, symbols that are meaningful in their lives. We build it into the railing, those kind of things. And one typical design that came in was Jeff Long with Greystone Quartz came in looking for some balcony baskets for the Grand Palazzo behind me. And the very following weekend I went out and measured one of the windows, and it was the wrong window, so I built it all wrong. But anyway, I bent a bunch of steel up and showed him a design that I felt represented what he was doing already with the architecture of it. Kind of Italian villa, but yet not over the top detail, just elegant. And it was a hit, and he liked the craftsmanship that my father taught me. So some designs too come from pieces that are brought in or that I discover, integrating pieces of architecture or just everyday items like a whiskey barrel that we're sitting at here.
I love this. You guys have to see this.
It's a Virginia bourbon barrel that I kind of rehabbed. It was very loose. It was kind of moldy. It was everything, but it was also a really unique piece that I knew I'd do something with. And it took about a year, But then I designed some scrolls, made a foot ring for it, supported the 1/2-inch glass on top with an artistic way to accent the barrel, and then hand bent all the chairs and put 150-year-old chestnut tops on them.
Wow.
So it's a really rich set, but I've done several of these for people now. This is kind of my showpiece, but
It's gorgeous.
yeah, so whimsical art. My door got Best in Show down in St. Augustine, Florida in sculpture. It's a garden door that has like a whimsical fairy tale type thing to it. It was something that was in my head. I just had to get it out. I built 7 and 8 foot jesters with playing card chests with eyes that are, card type symbols, and holding bombs, putting their foot on a dice, having a little mini me.
That's so awesome.
Things that are in your mind that you just have to get out.
Yeah, and it works. It really works.
Thank you.
So, if somebody's watching this and they're saying, yeah, I need to see this, they can come in. So you can walk right in to the shop and actually check out what's here, but they could also commission a piece, correct?
Absolutely. 90% of my work is custom commission work.
Yeah. So whatever's in your brain, you can try to transfer to Dave's brain, and then he will create that for you, which is really pretty cool. But if you're, a contractor, or you're an architect or an interior designer, or we're actually also boutiques where you just want to carry something that's really cool in your store, I really think Dave is your guy. So you gotta check it out. So we're also going to be giving you an opportunity to kind of do your thing.
Sounds good.
And share your thing. So one thing I'd also like to do is on FineThings, we say it is about things and people and products and services that enrich people's lives. And I say, that is what your art does. So I'm so grateful that you actually shared not just your art, but your story and how powerful that is and what your dad gave you. So thank you.
Okay, so what we're working on here is for the veterans. I did an artistic design for the Veterans Park down in Juniata at the 8th Street Bridge Park, but we're going to make a park bench now, and we had photographs of one that was seen in Colorado that had railroad wheels, so ORX graciously donated us 2 630-pound each forged railroad wheels, and we put a piece of well casing through them. And the way this is going to work is this will be the seating area. I scrolled these out, bent them by hand, and they're going to be placed across the bench in a bit of a curve, and then there will be backers that have the same thing with scrolls on them. But what I'm going to be doing today is actually welding the wheels, finish welds to the well casing. The whole thing is going to be about 2,000 pounds when it's all said and done, until I get all my steel on it and everything. But this is the kind of artistic stuff that we really like to do. On the ends of the axles, I'm going to do a veteran's design. I haven't come up with it yet. I haven't really thought through what I'm going to do 100%, but we're going to do the design work for the VA right on the ends of the wheels for a focal point.